It's been a long, hard week and a long day. I invite you to rub your hands together. Feel the warmth between your hands. And now, with that beautiful warmth, feel free to please cover your eyes and take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, relax. And as you're relaxing, I'm also going to invite you to imagine something. Imagine that you're standing on the edge of a sheer cliff. It's quite windy. The wind is rustling and gusting and whistling past your ears. But as you stand there, your heart starts to thump. Your knees start to tremble. You start to shake uncontrollably. The fear of the unknown sets in, and that feeling of being utterly alone. Let's take a deep breath in. Drop your arms down. Rest your hands. It's the 9th of September, 2007. My life changed in an instant. I received a phone call that didn't have to make me imagine standing on the edge of a sheer cliff. I was there. I felt utterly alone. In fact, to be honest, I had suicide ideation. I was hoping that that cliff would crumble and take me with it. That feeling of the unknown, the feeling of the uncertainty. I'd received a phone call to say that my husband, who was representing South Africa and at a world canoeing championship in the country of Hungary and the town of Győr, had died. He had had an aortic aneurysm. Nobody expects that. A fit, healthy young man leaving the shores of South Africa, going to represent his country, dying in a mere 6 seconds. The trauma was enormous. Every dimension of my life had been imploded. Not only was Gareth my husband, he was the father of our 2 beautiful young daughters, just 7 and 9 at the time. But also, we had been business partners for 10 years, running a leadership and development business together. We paddled together, we ran together, we sailed, we cycled, we loved the outdoors. We even built a house on the Vaal Dam, teaching our daughter the love of nature, the love of being outside, and the love of sports. We loved to study together. We studied the Enneagram of personality. We brought that to the shores of South Africa for leadership and development in senior teams. I share this context with you, and I'm inviting you on a journey of personal transformation with me. This context is necessary because at this time, yes, I had loving family and a ring of steel of friends around me, but I kept on hearing, Joni, you're a strong personality. You're going to bounce back. And the more I heard that, the more the sense of fury and rage bubbled up inside me. Bounce back? Bounce back? We are not rubber balls. Humans never bounce back. That inane 2-word phrase really drove me on a personal mission and joined me on trying to eradicate that inane phrase out of the dictionary. It's more harmful than ever. As humans, we never reset. We never go backwards. Once that picture is broken, once it's shattered, we never go back to our former selves. And in fact, we never should try. If we're trying to rewind, get back there, then we are stuck. We'll never transform. We'll never re-look at that pathway of how will we inch forward. What is that new reality going to bring us? What is the new picture about? And this is what I spoke to my daughters about at the age of 7 and 9. is we need a new reality. We are going to have to bounce forward. We are broken. We don't know how we're going to mend ourselves. We are never going to seamlessly put this vase together again. And I started questioning that and listening to other people. Yes, it's not just the trauma of loss. Some people were saying to me in leadership meetings, Joni, I was unexpectedly retrenched. I didn't know that was coming. It came out of nowhere. Or terrible news, my child came home from school today and she's been bullied for the last 6 months. I only heard about that today. The brokenness was all around us. And these questions kept bubbling and ruminating in my brain. How can we go forward from the state of brokenness? So many of us have been in these situations. I kept asking myself these questions. I kept thinking, when we teach leadership and development, we teach the quality of your questions determine the quality of your life. So I started to chat to my daughters about what does this mean for us? What does it mean, the new reality? How are our brains reforming? And as I started to speak to these two little girls about our brains reforming and new brain cells growing on a daily basis, I became more and more intrigued about the science of neuroplasticity. Did you know that you can grow 700 new brain cells per day, every day of your life, until the day that you die? So the science of neuroplasticity, the science of adapting and growing and going forward. We kept on making these little kind of signs with each other. Pinky promise, we're going to try this today. We're going to try and just kind of understand our new reality. It was a wonderful way forward. And then we started speaking about neuroplasticity and adaptation and actually being master gardeners of our minds. Because these 20 centimeters between your ears are your beautiful gardens. So as we looked at challenges and adversity, but also opportunity, we started as a little family of 3 saying, how can we bounce forward? How can we become master gardeners of our brains? So our brains are vastly different colors, different foliage, different colors, but how can we become these master gardeners? And I said to my girls, life is tough, but we need to be tougher because we know this beautiful garden could be flourishing and gorgeous. But if a tornado or a storm hits where those beautiful beds were, we were just going to have bumps and sand and barren ground. So we know that life can change in 6 seconds. But we also know with the art of neuroplasticity and growing new brain cells and adapting and new neural pathways, that brains can flourish again, that lives can flourish again. And of course, it may not look like the previous garden, because why? We do not bounce back. So the new garden, when the new rains come and things start to flourish, will look vastly, vastly different. There might be little rivulets, there might be streams, but there's new foliage. And the master gardeners are saying, how do I journey and transform in this new way? It's 17 years later, and I have role modeled to my daughters that I have transformed, I have lived, and I have learnt to love again. And here we have my bounce forward. I got remarried. And this gorgeous Gav, as we like to call him, our friends and family call him Gorgeous Gav, is my new husband, my current husband, as I like to say. A friend of mine said, Joni, always call him your current husband. It's like a current car. Keep him on his toes. There's like a new car coming. So we laugh and joke. This is the current husband. This is the new husband. This is the new life. And we have bounced forward. There's a new family. It's far bigger. There's stepsons. We've got grandchildren. And we've flourished. And there's a new normal. There's a new way of being. And we celebrate that. We celebrate that as a new, big, blended family. So now that we know that bouncing back is not an option, people say, okay, Joni, I get it. You want to bounce forward. You want us to be on a mission to say, let's eradicate those words, let's bounce forward together. But how do we do it? So yes, I'm standing here sounding like I've got it all sewn together. Life is still stormy. This master garden can still get barren at times, but I have figured out a way. I do have a compass, and that compass for my personal journey of transformation is my mindset. I've coined the phrase, the do mindset. Now, that sounds a little similar to can do. I always believe we do need a can do mindset, a growth mindset. We need to flourish upstairs. But my do stands for something. And this Venn diagram really summarizes my learnings, and it summarizes what I choose to teach corporates, I choose to share with my family. We choose to have rich discussions at the dining room table. So the mindset is the intersect between your mental clarity, your emotional agility, and certainly your physical vitality. In this world of fear, overwhelm, self-doubt, turbulence, change, uncertainty, world wars, we are, as individuals, going to have a do mindset of self-care to find our path, to ensure that our lives flourish. So I'm going to get quite practical with you now. I'm going to share some real practical insights as to what do I do on a daily basis to get that North Star, to make sure that I'm grounded, and to make sure I embrace every day. As I say to my big blended family now, let's squeeze the juice out of every day. So come with me on a do journey with a few small examples, which perhaps you could take away and use yourself. So we'll start with the C, and that's mental clarity. I bet you start your week or your month thinking, oh my goodness, there's a lot to do and many priorities. And should I write that book? Should I do the TED talk? Should I go traveling? What should I do? Should I start another business? There's so many opportunities out there. And most people are saying, Joni, I'm stressed, I'm hectic, tail spinning, all of these kinds of words. And I say to them, change your words to change your world. Because if you've got mental clarity and you start each day with what is the one thing you want to get over the line, you're going to have this virtuous circle. Because when you get that one thing over the line, you're going to have a sense of fulfillment, you're going to have dopamine in your brain, serotonin, this real can do attitude. So I start every day with what is my one thing. In terms of emotional agility, this is a huge topic. All emotions are valid. When I started my journey of transformation and piecing myself together and looking at those metaphorical cracks, I was pretty poor at understanding my emotions. In fact, I would say my emotional literacy was really a 1 out of 10. Do you know that there are 3,000 words to name emotions? All emotions are valid. So this is another small habit that I have, is when I've done my one thing for the day, I write down 3 emotions that I'm currently feeling. I've now improved a bit on the words that I can use. So now I'm not just sad, but maybe I'm a bit pensive or slightly irritated or annoyed or anxious or maybe excited. Often it's a washing machine of emotions. But my habit is to say, what 3 emotions am I currently feeling? Why? Because if you name them, you can tame them. And actually, if I put your body into a functional MRI and I showed you a video of a wedding and people celebrating and dancing and having a whole lot of fun, and you name those emotions, which is joy and love and ecstasy and just having a brilliant time. When you name those emotions, this part of your brain, this left part of your prefrontal cortex, calms down. Similarly, if I showed you a dreadful video of a car accident and you had to name what you saw, you would calm down. So name your emotions on a daily basis. It helps you navigate this journey called life. And then the V is for vitality, physical vitality. So many people I deal with are saying, Joni, I'm feeling sluggish and tired, and I wake up with a headache and I can't get going and no time to exercise. I want to like, va, va, boom, let's get going. Because there are three parts to physical vitality. This part of your body, your brain, these 20 centimeters between your ears, it's only 2% of your body weight, but it consumes 20% of the nutrients that you eat. So make sure that you eat food which is real. You can pick off trees, pluck out the ground. No processed food. For physical vitality, make sure you move during the day. When we lived in nature and we slept in caves, we walked, wait for it, 12 to 18 kilometers per day. I now bet that some of you sit for 12 to 18 hours per day. So motion shifts emotion. I start every day with exercise. I do love to run. And I started running because when I was widowed at the age of 40, I unexpectedly started having panic attacks. So I was battening down the hatches. I was putting my children to bed at 7 o'clock at night, and I stopped socializing. And of course, it got worse and worse, too fearful to go out because an unexpected panic attack would happen. And one of my mates said, Joni, what about running with these guys? They're mostly men, they're mostly bankers, zero EQ. I said, what does that mean? He said, well, if you run with them in the streets of Johannesburg, even in the pitch dark of midwinter, and you're starting to feel that panic attack feeling, you could just exit right. And they wouldn't even say, where are you going? Are you okay? Are you coming back? And the next day when they see you, they wouldn't say, were you okay? Did you get back to your car? And that was a low risk way of me dealing with panic attacks. It's not about gym. It's not about 3 times a week. It's about daily macro movements. So I'm inviting you to bounce forward. Yes, eradicate those words, bounce back. And even if it's just 3 questions that you ask yourself every morning. What's my one thing today to give me mental clarity? How am I feeling today? And really acknowledge that. Physically write it down. And then in what way will I boost my vitality? So we're all on this world to make a difference. We're all here to flourish, to build our communities, and to make sure that we can embrace adversity. It's going to happen. Challenges come our way as much as opportunities come our way. Bouncing back is not an option. Let's choose to bounce forward and be the vibrant individuals we are meant to be. Thank you.